Every game, every team, every angle. Locked On Game to Game, your team every day.
Welcome in, everyone, to Game SEC Edition. I'm Jourdan Black. We have a great show for you with all of the action from Rivalry Week in the SEC. There's nothing better. Auburn, Alabama, squaring off in the Iron Bowl. South Carolina looking to go back-to-back in top 10 upset wins. The Georgia Bulldogs welcoming Georgia Tech and looking to stay undefeated, thus solidifying their top rank. Plus, Tennessee looking to bounce back against Vanderbilt after the horrors of last week in South Carolina, while LSU travels to College Station to face those Aggies. We start in T-Town for the Iron Bowl. Bama back to its Bama ways. After suffering the loss to LSU, the Crimson Tide have won their last three, and even though the college football championship is out of the question, the Tide still wanted to take care of their bitter rivals and did so with ease on Saturday, winning 49-27. Bryce Young thrown for 343 yards and added 3 touchdowns on the day, while the defense stopped any passing game from the Tigers. Locked On Bama host Luke Robinson has the breakdown for the Tide.
Hey, everybody. It's Luke Robinson with Locked On Bama for a quick reaction video. The Iron Bowl, Alabama wins 49-27, and that's great. That's awesome. And they covered if you bought the half. That's better. But man, there's still so much to work on. This game was such a microcosm of this year, sort of the untapped potential of this team, and how frustrating this squad could be at times. How they 1 minute they would look fantastic, the next minute you wonder what in the world is going on over there. But overall, man, kudos to Bryce Young going out on top. I hate that he had the interception late. Obviously, that wasn't something ideal. But, again, overall, great game from him. Just really excited about his future. And I think this is what that game should have been about. Will Anderson getting a sack late in the contest, also a big positive. Overall, I got to say I'm just thankful another Iron Bowl is behind me and we got to win.
And here's Auburn host Zach Blackerby with Auburn's breakdown.
There's no such thing as moral victories in the Iron Bowl, but you got to be proud of how these kids fought. I'm Zach Blackerby, host of Locked On Auburn. The Auburn Tigers fall 49-27 in this year's Iron Bowl in Tuscaloosa against Alabama. Carnell Williams motivated his players once again, which shouldn't become a surprise at all. Robbie Ashford had a really good game on the ground. Needs to elevate that passing game in this offseason. But really, it starts the offseason, which is going to be a very, very interesting 3 to 4 months for the Auburn football program. We'll be breaking it down every single day on Locked On Auburn, your team every day.
After their huge win against Tennessee last week, Spencer Rattler and the Gamecocks looked to shock the world again, this time against 7th-ranked Clemson. And in a back-and-forth fight, South Carolina able to do just that. Rattler had 2 touchdowns as the visitors inched out the dub in Death Valley 31-30. He also threw for 360 yards. The Gamecocks ended any hopes for the Tigers to go into the college football playoff, and for the second straight week, played Giant Slayer. Locked On Gamecocks host Andrew Lyons has the breakdown of the historic win.
Gamecock Nation, you can hear it in my voice, but South Carolina has officially arrived on the national stage in college football. This is Andrew Lyons of the Locked On Gamecocks podcast, checking in with all of you after the biggest win again in the Shane Beamer era up to this point, as the Gamecocks just toppled their arch rivals in the Clemson Tigers. It wasn't always pretty. There were some mistakes made offensively. Spencer Rattler made a couple bad choices with some of his decisions, which led to interceptions in really key spots. Defensively, they still had some issues slowing down Will Shipley in this Tigers ground game. But South Carolina overcame all of that. They were losing for the majority of this game. It did not matter. Rattler overcame his mistakes, helped lead this team to a comeback. Multiple guys stepped up in this contest. Defensively, the pressure got to DJ Uiagalelei in this football game. Cornerbacks did a great job of man coverage. The linebackers did enough to slow down the run game. Beamer Ball, Kai Kroger, what a day this young man had. And then all the turnovers that were forced when it mattered the most at the end of this game. This win is going to mark a new chapter in South Carolina football. Buckle up and get ready for what is sure to be a wild ride under Shane Beamer. This is Angelo at the Locked On Gamecocks podcast, covering your South Carolina Gamecocks every day.
Support us by supporting our sponsors with Fast Protect technology exclusively from SimpliSafe. 24/7 monitoring agents capture evidence to accurately verify a threat for faster police response. There's no safe like SimpliSafe. Visit simplysafe.com/lockedoncollege to learn more. Top-ranked Georgia taking on in-state rival Georgia Tech on Saturday in a game that was clearly the Bulldogs to lose, right? Georgia hasn't dropped a contest yet this season, and with the SEC championship game right around the corner, the Bulldogs could use this week as a tune-up. Instead, Georgia faced trouble early, but did turn it around in the second half to win at 37-14. Stetson Bennett had 2 passing touchdowns on the day, while senior running back Kenny McIntosh had 182 all-purpose yards in the action from Athens. Locked On Bulldogs has the post-game reaction for us.
Georgia cruises to victory after a sloppy first half. We head into SEC championship week, clearly number 1. We will talk about everything about this game, instant reaction tonight, as well as what it means after a wild day of college football. Here on the Locked On Podcast Network, Locked On Bulldogs, your team every day.
After the collapse against South Carolina and losing Hendon Hooker for the year, the Vols were desperately looking for some positivity to come their way. A win over in-state rival Vanderbilt could give the team just that, a team that was on the verge of greatness. Senior Joe Milton III got the start and looked to lead the Vols back to the win column to give the fans in Knoxville something to cheer about, right? Locked On Vols host Will Kane has the post-game reaction.
56-0 Tennessee concludes the regular season. First regular season 10-win campaign since 2003. But 56-0 at Vanderbilt, finishing the right way, and I think kind of dismissing any thoughts of culture problems or team divided. I know it's frustrating, but this same team that gave up 63 points defensively a week ago pitched a shutout in Nashville to conclude the regular season. But that is how you finish it. Tennessee now likely in a New Year's Six bowl game. Of course, we'll have to wait a week until after championship Saturday subsides and kind of figure that out down the line. But finished it off the right way. Joe Milton, he wasn't perfect, but as you can see, the conditions weren't either. Tennessee does score 7 touchdowns on offensive possessions and forced 8 punts, 4 turnover on downs, and a missed field goal defensively. It was all Big Orange in what felt like a home game here to conclude the regular season. Tennessee 56 in Vanderbilt 0.
LSU in a hostile College Station environment Saturday night to take on the Aggies. LSU sitting at a pivotal number 5 in the rankings, and a win against the Aggies going into the game against Georgia next week could prove to be the difference in the final standings this season. Outside of last week's win over UMass, A&M dropped its last 6 matchups in the SEC. If LSU is looking to sneak into the final spot in the college football playoffs, the Tigers will need to weather the 12th man and pick up a huge win on the road. And Locked On Aggies host Joey Ikes goes into A&M's day for us.
Bravo, Jimbo. Bravo. What's up, everybody? This is Joey Ikes of Locked On Aggies. And holy cow, the fighting Texas Aggies just upset the number 5 ranked LSU Tigers 38-23 in the final game of the 2022 Aggies football season. And it was what A&M fans and analysts and reporters and everyone else have been waiting for all year long. The Aggies finally showed up. They played 60 minutes of football. The talent in the 2022 recruiting class showed up all over the field, over and over, and 2 veterans, Devon Achane and Damani Richardson, made huge plays and played unbelievably in a game that most people would say they had nothing to play for. And it fought the Aggies all the way to victory. Again, 38-23. We're going to cover it all on Locked On Aggies.
And that brings us to the end of another wild week in the SEC rivalry weekend. There's just nothing like it. With seeding in the SEC and the college football playoffs so close, the stakes are getting higher and the fun is just getting started. With every win and loss, our Locked On Network local experts will be here to break it down for you each and every week. Thanks so much for watching this week. I'm Jourdan Black, and we'll see you next time right here on Game to Game SEC.